With the NFL Combine now past us and quite a handful of splash free agency moves happening, I think it's just about time we do our fourth mock draft of 2024. The Bears are on the clock, and once again they are going to grab Caleb Williams. Chicago seems to have made their decision of taking the quarterback out of USC at number 1. Regardless of how it turns out, right now it does seem likely Williams will be a star player, so I think this would make quite a lot of sense. At number 2, the Commanders get Jayden Daniels. Most people have Drake May over this guy, but I could see why Washington would do this. Daniels has one of the highest ceiling of the class, and if the Commanders develop him correctly, they might as well be getting the best QB of this year. Now for the Patriots, Drake May. I don't know why, but I feel like May would fit right in with the Patriots style of play, even if he isn't the perfect scheme fit. New England is 100% going quarterback here, and I don't think they have that many options, to be fair. On to the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe this is the only right option for them at number 4. Harrison is the type of prospect you cannot pass on, and hey, the Cardinals need some help at wide receiver, so this is just perfect. At number 5, the Chargers get Malik Neighbors. Justin Herbert has absolutely no one to throw to. Getting Neighbors here seems like the only reasonable option for LA, so of course I have them doing exactly that. Moving on, we have a trade. The Jets move up 4 spots in order to grab Mr. Joe Alt. The Jets are in desperate need of improving that offensive line, and Alt is one of the most talented linemen to ever declare to the draft. This wouldn't be very expensive for them, and the potential reward would be enormous. Now with the 7th overall pick, the Titans draft Olu Fashanu. They covered the receiver need with Calvin Ridley, so it's now time to improve that offensive line. Fashanu is a good scheme fit, and to be honest, he has the potential to be an absolute monster in the NFL. On to the Falcons, they get Nate Wiggins. This could be a debatable pick, but with them getting Kirk Cousins, I think their focus is now 100% on the defensive side of the ball. Wiggins would be a great addition, and I think he could provide Atlanta with that spark needed to actually become a much better team. With the 9th pick, the Bears take Brock Bowers. If he somehow falls to them, they will 100% take him and have one of the greatest off seasons of all time. Bowers would turn this offense into one of the best ones amongst the NFL right away, so this is of course a dream scenario for Chicago. To close out the top 10, the Giants get JJ McCarthy. Now you see why they traded back. McCarthy isn't necessarily the best QB available, but with the current draft news, it seems very likely he goes top 10. Besides, the Giants are reportedly done with Daniel Jones, so this would make some sense. Moving on, the Vikings draft Dallas Turner. Many people have them taking quarterback here, but I don't think it would be the best option. Turner would fill in perfectly for Daniel Hunter, and he would have a clear path to be the team's number 1 edge rusher sooner rather than later. With the 12th overall pick, the Denver Broncos get Rome Odunze. The receiver out of Washington would have the potential to easily become the team's number 2 wideout right away. Not only that, but he would be a great scheme fit, and eventually he would become the team's top receiver. Moving on, the Raiders get Cooper DeJean. If he's available by the time they're on the clock, they must grab him even if corner isn't their biggest position of need. DeJean has the potential to be a stud, and this would honestly be an amazing pick for Las Vegas. At number 14, the Saints draft Amarius Mims. The offensive tackle out of Georgia would definitely be a day 1 starter over New Orleans. His game style would fit in perfectly with the team, and I would say he has the potential to be a top tier lineman in the NFL. Up next, the Colts get Terrion Arnold. One could argue this is the most talented cornerback in the class, so it makes sense for Indy to take him. Arnold would provide a breath of fresh air to this defensive squad, and his game would definitely be very welcome. Moving on, the Seahawks get Jackson Powers Johnson. This guy is quite a unique prospect, and some would say he's a generational talent at center. Seattle definitely has bigger needs, but they could potentially be landing a top tier player with the Oregon lineman here. With the 17th overall pick, the Jaguars get Jared Verse. If he somehow falls to them, the Jaguars definitely have to make the call. Verse has the potential to be the best edge rusher of this class, and I believe he's one of the most NFL ready prospects out there. On to the Bengals, they get Talia Sefuaga. I think they have to grab an offensive lineman in round 1. The guy out of Oregon State would be an amazing scheme fit, and while not the best tackle of the class, he's definitely got some insanely good potential. Moving on, the Rams select Byron Murphy. Getting the defensive tackle out of Texas would be a huge win for LA. This guy has some insane potential and would be an immediate replacement for Aaron Donald, whose retirement is of course very impactful for the Rams. At number 20, the Steelers get Quinyon Mitchell. Pittsburgh has been heavily interested in this cornerback group leading to the draft, so naturally I think they'll go ahead and get one. Mitchell seems to be a guy capable of being a top tier player who maybe, just maybe, falls to the Steelers at number 20. Up next, the Dolphins select JC Latham. They could use some extra protection in the trenches. The tackle out of Alabama has the size and talent to be a really good player, but there's no denying that this would be a somewhat risky pick. With the 22nd overall pick, the Eagles select Kool-Aid McKinstry. Despite them improving the cornerback position during free agency, it's still relatively thin. McKinstry would be a great fit for Philly's scheme, so I could definitely see this happening. At number 23, the Vikings get Jer'Shan Newton. This guy is one of the most talented prospects of the entire class regardless of position. He would make a great pairing with Dallas Turner, who the Vikings took just a couple of picks earlier, creating a young and explosive renewed defensive line over in Minnesota. On to the Cowboys, they get Troy Fautanu. I don't think there's a lot the Cowboys can do in this position. Grabbing an offensive tackle seems as the best idea for me, and despite not being the safest pick, Fautanu does appear to have a very high ceiling. With the 25th overall pick, the Packers select Tyler Nubbin. Despite them upgrading the safety position in free agency, it's still something they kinda wanna focus on. Nubbin is a great fit for Green Bay, so I think they'll take the risk and get him here. Up next, the Buccaneers get Laiatu Latu. He's insanely talented and arguably the most explosive defensive end of this class. If he falls down to 26, I think the Buccaneers need to do everything they can to pick up the phone and draft him right away. With the 27th pick, the Cardinals draft Chop Robinson. I think they're going defense with this pick, and Robinson could be a good prospect to take their chances on. He has a lot of potential, and well, the scheme fit isn't terrible, so why not? Moving on, the Bills will get Brian Thomas Jr. I think they have to grab a wide receiver round 1 to pair alongside Stefon Diggs. Thomas would be an amazing fit for Buffalo given his explosiveness, and in addition to that, he would be the perfect receiver to pair with Josh Allen. At number 29, the Lions get Ennis Rakestraw. They have to get a cornerback here. It's arguably their biggest and most critical position of need. Rakestraw could be a solid starter in the league, and I think he could very well thrive over in Detroit. Moving on, the Baltimore Ravens acquire Troy Franklin. If they get a receiver here, they definitely have one of the scariest offenses in the NFL, so this would make sense. Franklin is quite a talented guy, and I'm sure Lamar Jackson would love to have him around. With the 31st overall pick, the 49ers draft Graham Barton. Offensive line is pretty much their only relatively big need. Barton has the skill set to be a good starter in the NFL, and San Francisco is arguably the best situation around the league, so he would be in prime position to succeed. And now at number 32, the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy. This guy literally ran his way into the first round. Breaking the combine 40-yard dash record was certainly helpful, and his playstyle honestly aligns quite well with that of Mahomes. If this works out, the Chiefs would be getting themselves a quality number 1 wideout, so why not take the risk? Anyways, that's all for today's video. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.